The Third Amendment to the United States Constitution is generally seen as one of the most uncontroversial amendments in the entire Constitution. Everybody knows what it means. There's not really any challenge to the intent of the amendment. It's really just a product of its time. The roots of the Third Amendment go back to the 1765 Quartering Act. If you check out my channel, that was part of the coercive acts or the intolerable acts, fully explained in another video I did in the past. You can check that out for some background information. But essentially, you've probably heard about this, that the British required the Americans to house or provide for British soldiers. And this was, of course, seen as totally unacceptable by the American colonists. And it was one of the primary motivations, one of many, for the U.S. Revolution. Now, of course, the Americans viewed an oppressive government as evil and vile, and they thought a standing army was often used to oppress their rights. And this was a perfect example of how a standing army could trample on an individual's liberty. So when we passed our own Constitution with the founding of the United States, we wanted to make sure that this kind of thing would never happen in the United States of America. So let's take a look at the text of the Third Amendment itself and how it actually reads. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So technically speaking, under the Third Amendment, if there was a need for the citizens to house and provide food for soldiers, it could be allowed if a law was passed by the United States Congress and signed by the president. It says at the very end, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So again, this amendment is a product of its times. It's not really a concern in today's world. Seeing as how this amendment is very uncontroversial, the Supreme Court has actually never decided a case that directly implicated the Third Amendment. It has only been cited in a handful of cases throughout all of American history. And in general, we all agree of what it means. You cannot be forced to let a soldier live with you. You cannot be forced to provide food for a soldier unless it was prescribed by law by the United States Congress, and that is not likely to happen. So that's the Third Amendment to the United States Constitution.